Alright, this video is going to be a sketchbook tour. I originally recorded audio with this directly, but it was really bad. A bad hissing sound in it, so sitting here with my guitar again, and thought I'd try again with the audio. This is the most recent sketchbook that I finished. Measurement here is 6 by 9, I think. They always end up looking a little beat up at the end. I get these stains on them and rips and stuff. And this is a Strathmore Watercolor sketchbook. It's a nice heavy paper. It's about 50 pages. The beginning of this book it was started in October of 2019, so all these first 31 drawings are all the prompts from Inktober. And if you don't know what Inktober is, it was started by an artist about 10 or 15 years ago, and during October, for every day of the month, they have a prompt. So you can see all these words in here. The prompts are usually just single words. I think they're always just single words. And you're supposed to just build a little drawing, or a big drawing. Some people do these they do a drawing a day for each day of the month of October. And a lot of people do them in sketchbooks like this, but some people do full-scale ink drawings. But it's just supposed to be a way to make your inking or drawing with ink, sketching with ink better. A lot of these, you can see I use a water-based ink and a brush or a brush pen to kind of loosen out the ink. If there's color in there, it's usually watercolor pencil or watercolor tabs. Inktober is a great challenge if you're already an artist, and especially if you don't work in ink very often. Ink can be pretty intimidating because you can't erase. But there's no rule that says that you can't go pencil first and then ink over it. And there's no rule that says you can't use mixed media, using things that aren't ink in here, obviously, with watercolor and stuff. I think the more you work in mixed media, you find that the differences between them they have more in common than they have differences. Like you can make acrylic paint behave like watercolor, and with enough density you can make the opposite. When I'm working on these words, I usually Google the word and try to come up with some ideas there. Here for the Band-Aid box, you can see there the word was injured. And when you Google injured, you get a lot of injuries, pictures of injuries coming back. So I had a hard time getting out of that kind of direct literal interpretation. But then luckily I had a package of Band-Aids just there on the table, and after about 10 minutes of looking at grotesque stuff on Google, I said, oh, well, this is a different way to attack that word. And I find that process is really useful. Just look the word up, and sometimes your understanding of a word can change with that. So all of that was the Inktober drawings. And I kept those really small, 3 or 4 to a page, which is the second time I've done Inktober all the way through in a sketchbook. Even with small drawings like that, it can be challenging. As far as the overall philosophy on these books, I've made a lot of them over the years. I probably finish one every, if I'm going fast, 3 or 4 months. If I'm going slower and making a lot of other types of artwork, then usually. It goes maybe 2 a year or something like that, every 6 months, 7 months. It depends on the size too. Sometimes I'll do an 8x10 book, and sometimes I'll do an even smaller book than this one. But the point of your sketchbook, I think, especially in the beginning, is to just experiment and fill the pages, to draw. It doesn't matter what you're drawing or what you're drawing with. If you want to learn how to do character faces, then make a whole bunch. Like this page here. All my sketchbooks recently, you'd find a page like that in there. Just little ovals turning into faces. It's a little process that's kind of mindless, and it's mindless but not pointless. I've even taken those little faces and made them bigger, enlarge them in Photoshop and stuff, and the little gestures that come out. And all these pages, you just kind of want to draw where you are. Don't treat it as too precious. I let my kids draw on my sketchbook. This is one of my kids' pages. Stick figures and superheroes and just scribbles and stuff. And sometimes even that can give me a good idea. Or if you're somewhere where you get to sit and there's just people around, if you have a sketchbook, you have another option besides your phone. You can either look up other things, you can play a game, you can listen to music, I guess. I find my sketchbook is a more enjoyable thing to do if I'm just sitting there. You can also see in the pages I keep notes alongside other things, and just draw what's around you. A couple bikes, people. Usually if the people are facing me like that, it's somebody's talking to me, so these are probably from meetings. There's a little watercolor pencil drawing. If you don't know what to draw, just make abstraction. Get a little bit of flicking there on the edges of that, a little bit extra texture by getting some water and flicking it off the end of a marker, or it won't work with a Sharpie marker like that, but Crayola marker or watercolor pencil. Or really anything. You could do it with grape juice if you wanted to. Explore different styles. You can see just in that little flip right there, there's 3 or 4 different styles. Kind of graffiti. In this one I tried to draw like a 10-year-old girl. I'm just kidding. This is my daughter's page here. It's the YMCA pool where she was watching her brother take swim lessons. Haha. You can see right in the middle there a zoom image. I don't like Zoom. I wish we didn't have to use Zoom. I want to talk to people face to face, but when they're all on their laptops or computers, the framing does kind of line them up perfectly to be drawn. That drawing right there in the style of like really heavy activity I like, that's a dip pen like that. So dip it in ink and then run around, and on watercolor paper that works really well. And you can tint, you can water down the ink, you can add color. I usually have a light brown and black ink sitting around. I had an idea to do eggshells as a theme, some paintings and stuff, and so I got some. Just kept them from breakfast and started sketching them in my sketchbook to see if it's a good idea. Like, does this idea going to scale up. And I've done at least one other eggshell painting right now. Oh, yeah, and here's a good example of just drawing whatever's around you. It's the tangle of wires, guitar strings, and rubber bands. Yeah, just, that's abstract, but it's also from life. It's important to go in and get the negative space in those little areas right there to make it a little darker, make the loops kind of jump out. And I draw right to the end. I mean, that's the binding right there, which is not watercolor paper, so I try and fill it all the way up right to the end, put stickers on it, make it an artifact, Use color, put things in there, stickers, shopping lists. I think one of the really cool things about doing sketchbooks like this is it's kind of a conversation with yourself that you can go back and read. And even a shopping list from 2 years ago might be interesting because your life may have changed in those last 2 years. I know mine has. So this is one of many, and I already got another one started. I bought a pack of smaller ones this time. The thing I like about these really small ones, this is a 4x6 or 3.5 by 5.5, something like that. And those are great because they fit in your pocket or in your purse or backpack. And I find a really big sketchbook can hold you back. So get a little one and get out there and draw a lot.